Hey there, I'm Justin, helping you take your online English teaching to the next level. Today I'm taking a question from one of my colleagues who is having issues with L and R. If you teach Chinese learners, you know that these two sounds are especially difficult. L and R are a special type of consonant in English which are in their own category. They're called approximants. And the reason they're called approximants is because they're like vowels. And so because of this, they exercise a really interesting phenomenon. There's a whole category of what's called R-controlled vowels or L-controlled vowels. And so these sounds and ol, they're very difficult, especially at the end of a word. Now you could take a word like rat, rat, and it's actually a little bit easier for a learner to grasp. It's still difficult, and we're going to look momentarily at some ways to help. But what's really hard is a difference like this: star and stall. Very difficult. The Chinese learner will say star. And so you need to get them to understand the difference between star and stall. That's the hard part. How do you really get them to understand and more importantly to actually reproduce this distinction, which for us is so easy, but for them very difficult even just to hear this distinction. So I'd encourage all of you, when you're working with your students, to try to avoid this tendency of just pointing to your mouth and having them repeat. Okay? So let's imagine that we are teaching a lesson and this word stall comes up, okay? Or let's keep it stall. So I'm teaching stall and they say star. Ooh, that doesn't sound right. So I could of course just try to help them out and say stall, but probably not going to work. Don't get your hopes up, at least, right? So what I'd encourage you to do is utilize minimal pairs. This comes up over and over again, but they're really important. So you saw that we had star and stall. Put them next to each other so the student can hear the difference. And I would actually stall, depending on the definition you're looking at. You could do a clock, and you ask the student, what is it? They'll say a clock, time, good. So you might just do a representative image. Good, stall, wait, stall. So you have them repeat that, or you have them at least listen to it, try to repeat it, etc. Okay? So you have stall. And then over here you say, what is this? And they say star. They'll know that one, and they can say that one probably. They're probably saying the R but not the L. Okay? So we're leaving this one. We can do this one first, or we could do it second. It's up to you. But you're going to have them both side by side like this with pictures. That's important that you have pictures. It makes it so much more interesting if you have it, and it's more clear. Starting with the pictures too makes it more fun. So I have these side by side. Now I can play with these a little bit, and we have context to work with, which is so crucial. I might take another color now, and let's take a look first at this L sound here. So I might underline that for the student, point to the L, and now I'm going to do a phonetic awareness activity where I can do this. La, la, la. I'm imitating my tongue with my hand. So I point to my hand, point to my tongue. La, la, la. Show them it flaps forward. La, la, la. And I am kind of cheating here because it's really difficult for them to isolate the ol sound. So be careful of just saying something like ol, trying to get them to isolate that by itself. Also, the reason it's so difficult is that they're in the final position. The final position is very, very hard. So try to do it first in the initial position. La, 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 la. It's always a good idea, and we say this over and over again in our workshops, is don't wait until a blending slide to do a blending activity. So I can take the word and break it into pieces. They've got the sta, no problem. That's easy for them. It's the L that's the issue. So you could then put that here, sta, ol. But like we were just talking about, the L by itself is very difficult. So you could start first with the L here, ol. If they don't get it, then you say la, 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 and then encourage them to say that, la, la, la. Now here's the secret. You're doing this motion with them, you can start to slow it down. So you go la, la, la. once you have gotten them to really understand that la sound, la, you try to get them to really see that. Oh, you might cross out the A there. Oh, sta, sta, So you can actually, we're working on putting the L as the final L, but you can put it in the initial position just to warm them up, to prime them. You can even use some words that start with an L, like lamb, for example, to get them warmed up. But I'd probably just stick with this la 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 here. Warm up, prime that L, ooh, and then try to break it up into pieces like this, and that will make your work a little bit easier if you split it up. Now you've worked with stall by itself, you can then come back to star. So whatever their issue is, you might need to focus on one more than the other. I'd encourage you to focus on the one that they have no problem with first. It's probably better to keep them confident. So then we have this sound. Now I'm going to give you a link here on a video that shows you letter sound motions. And so the letter sound motion I like to use for star is like a lion. Or depending on my student, it might be like a pirate. So you can choose whichever one works best for you. But you'll have a motion that goes with it. Sta, Remember, don't wait till a blending slide to do a blending activity. Sta, and have them repeat it after you just like that. If they have issues with that, remember, you can come back to the whiteboard. This is why it's nice to have 2, 3, 4, 5 whiteboards. You don't want to be erasing this stuff. You actually want to go back through it. So again, we'll do exactly what we did, but this time we have sta and Now if they're having problems, remember what we did earlier, it's difficult in the final position. When is it easier? In the initial position, because we actually have something after it. So just help them out, and you can say ra, 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 ray, 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 re, 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 whatever that might be, but give them some context here, and they'll be much more likely to say this with you. Ra, 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 ra. Again, you'll start to slow this down with that motion. The motion's going to actually help you with that, because slowing down the motion makes it more salient what you're doing. So you had ra, 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 ra. You see what we're doing? Now they're spending more time on the R. It's priming them. Once you've gotten that you might cut them off instead of going to the ah. And then again, you'll go back to this context of blending, and you'll go sta, You've warmed them up. So it's going to be much more likely that they'll get that. And now, once again, you've made your life easier. You are breaking it down. And now, you can go back to this context, and you have all that groundwork that you've done. You have these different visuals, right? So you can point to stall, and you have this la, 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 and mimicking the tongue flapping forward. You could actually do this one too, mimicking the tongue, but you're actually going to bunch it up like this, because that's what happens in your mouth. This may not work for all students, right? The L is pretty easy because you can see it. La, la, la. But the is kind of difficult. It's back there, but you're actually doing this with your tongue. You can kind of feel it. It's hard. Point your tongue, hand, So you could try that. That could be an alternative, especially for adults. They might like that better. Stall, star, whatever motion you're using, right? Stall, star, stall, star. Now you probably recognize this because we do it in the workshops, but having these minimal pairs and then taking some time to go through each one will dramatically help your chances. Now obviously we don't have all the time in the world to do all these things at one time, but the point is, as the lesson moves on, you integrate it. At one time you do this, At another time, you do this. And then at another time, you come back to this. So it's about not expecting that these issues, especially pronunciation, will resolve themselves at one time. It's about helping them throughout the course of the lesson or throughout the course of their career learning English, to be honest. I hope that you enjoyed this experience today as much as I have. If you have any questions, please put those in the comments. I always love to interact and stay connected. Until next time, my friends, happy teaching. Bye-bye.